I think I can confidently say that men are more interested in the topic of off-grid than women are. And I think that there are many reasons for that, but ultimately it boils down to a difference in values. I don't think that women see the value in off-grid homesteading the same way that men do. And quick disclaimer, everything I'm saying about this topic is just my opinion, and it is going to be a generalization, a blanket statement over all men and all women, but I totally understand that there are exceptions to the rule. I do understand that this doesn't apply to every man and every woman. So let's put our thinking caps on and just remember that this is a generalization. Largely, from my experience, I've noticed that men are more into the idea of off-grid, of being primal, of roughing it, of going out there and doing back-breaking labor, sweating, and building an empire. Those things are more unique to men. They go out there, like I said, they do the back-breaking, sweat, labor, and they go out to work for the prize. The prize could be a woman. The prize could be self-sufficiency. And when it comes to off-grid homesteading, I think a man wants both of those things. I think they want to go out there and take care of their animals. I think it's unique to men to want to provide and to work and to see the fruit of their labor and to come inside to a freshly made home-cooked meal and freshly baked sourdough bread, and everything is using the ingredients that they grew themselves in their garden. And coming to eat next to a good woman who has worked equally as hard as he has and has been his partner throughout the entire thing. Now, that image in today's culture is very polarizing. Either you love that image or you hate that image. But really, in the great picture of what I have observed, again, my opinion, my own experience, in my opinion, I think that is every man's dream. They have this security that they don't have to rely on anyone. The pride in the work of their hands coming to fruition, and the love of a good woman who has stood by his side and worked just as hard as he has to get to this dream that they hold together. Now, here is the glaring issue. What if your wife doesn't want anything to do with off-grid or homesteading? What if your wife loves being where you guys have built your life together in the city and doesn't want to move to the country? Well, you found yourself with a difference in values. Let me be exceptionally clear. If you and your spouse are not on the same page about homesteading, you will fail 100% of the time. Never have I ever met anyone who has not been really into the idea of homesteading and then gotten in it and thought, oh yeah, I love it. I love the sweat, and I love the heat, and I love the hard work and the going without conveniences. I'm not saying that that's impossible, but I'm saying never have I ever heard of that, seen that, and I really don't think that's likely. Again, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I'd bet my prize chicken in the likelihood of your failure if you and your wife are not on the same page. I would say that is mostly because homesteading is hard, and any challenge somebody faces in the midst of it will just further bitterness and resentment about the topic. Nothing can grow in the ground sown with bitterness and resentment. In bitterness and resentment, a marriage dies. And then what? You get to be on your off-grid homestead. Will your prize pumpkin keep you warm at night? Can you talk to that head of lettuce? Will the cows keep you company when you're lonely? Then what's the point? If your marriage has failed because of a difference in homesteading versus not homesteading, where we want to live, then what's the point of it all anyway, when you can't have somebody that you love by your side? Now, maybe you prefer to be alone, and that's totally okay. There are many people who don't want to be with anybody anyway. But if you are already married and you're trying to figure out how to get your wife on board, then stay tuned, because I have some answers for that. You might not like the answer, but I have an answer for that. So let's figure this out together. Let's go back to the basics. Why is homesteading important to you? Now I can guess it's because you want the control of your being dependent on yourself. You want to not be at the mercy of governing bodies, and you like the idea of seeing the work of your hands come to fruition. Great. That's a value to you. Now ask your wife what she values. This is a conversation to have over a relaxing date night where you two can be on the same page, not in the middle of a fight, and not when you guys are approaching this as opponents on opposing teams. This is a values conversation. And when your wife shares what her values are, listen. Try to hear her heart behind the topic. Does she want to stay in the same area because she doesn't want to move away from your grandchildren? Does she want to not uproot your kids from the life and the school and the friends that they love and the life that you've built together where you are? Does she have the impression that off-grid homesteading is sweaty and dirty and she'll never get a hot running shower? I heard a long time ago that we speak in words, but we think in pictures. So you two might both be saying off-grid homesteading, but maybe the picture that both of you have in your heads is worlds apart. So have that values conversation and try to see what the other person sees through their perspective. Be curious and ask questions, and also express your values. Express your point of view and why you think this is something that is beneficial for your family. Be very clear about your picture for this. Family is maybe the thing that you both can come together in commonality as a value, but maybe her way of valuing family is keeping you safe in the life that you guys know that's secure. And maybe your way of valuing family is by protecting them from governing bodies that could potentially take your rights away. Maybe it's your gun rights, your homeschooling rights, and instead sheltering your family in a place farther away where there are more freedoms. Generally speaking, a woman will pretend like it's a bubble. A woman will protect from the inside of that bubble to make sure the world inside is okay and safe. And a man will protect from the outside of the bubble, making sure that all of the outside forces will not threaten the precious treasures that he holds dear within that bubble. Both man and woman have the same goal, but different ways of looking at it and different ways of approaching it. So let me provide you with an answer to the title of this video, which is how to get your wife to go off grid. You don't. You can't. I'm so sorry to say that. And it might be disappointing to you, but that is actually really good news. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the reality as I see it. And ultimately, you can't get somebody to want something that they just don't want. But like I said, there's good news in that. Because now you have the reality of it. You know you can't force her, neither should you. You wouldn't want to be forced into something that you don't think is a good idea or that you just really don't want to do. So now you can proceed forward with the values conversation. You can deepen your connection with one another in what is important to you guys. And maybe you can find some common ground in order for your values to be honored and her values to be honored. So maybe that means that if you guys are in an area where you can have a really nice garden, start by gardening. If she is into baking, ask her to bake sourdough bread or different kinds of recipes that maybe go back to the basics, go back to the simplicity of homesteading times, using ingredients that you would grow if you were to grow them on your own property. Or maybe if you're in an area where you can have a chicken coop, even better. Check it out, try it. See, maybe you can get a couple of hens. And these compromises aren't you trying to slowly manipulate her into seeing your side of it after all. These are in order to express what you want and what she wants and trying it out. And maybe you guys hate it. Maybe one of you hates it. Maybe the other one hates it. Well, great. Now you know, and you didn't just sink a bunch of money into property that you hate going to, and you didn't just sell the house that one of you has always loved, and now you don't have this huge rift inside of your marriage between you two that otherwise would have been if you would have acted impulsively when the other person wasn't ready for it. Just keep on having those conversations and keep on revisiting these things, this idea of values, and try to find that common ground. You two are bound together by the most sacred of unions. She is yours and you are hers. Nobody else can have you. And that's such a beautiful thing. Don't let homesteading, off-gridding, all of that, don't let that pit you guys against one another as opponents, but instead realize that you guys are on the same team. You guys both want to work toward a happy and fulfilling life. Go back to the basics, communicate with each other, and find a common ground that honors you both.